Dear students, yesterday we were talking about the female reproductive system. The various components of female reproductive system include: number 1, the ovaries, the primary sex organ. Number 2, the accessory ducts or the accessory organs, including the fallopian tube, just we have uterus and vagina. Now the third component of the female reproductive system, that is the accessory glands, the glands associated with the female reproductive system. As per our syllabus, there are 2 glands are associated with the female reproductive system. Number 1, Bartholin's glands. They are also called by name major vestibular glands. Major vestibular glands. Now where are they located? So they are located posted to the right and left of the opening of vagina. Posted to the, just actually, the right and left of the opening of vagina on either side. Now what is the role? They secrete mucus, a lubricating fluid, responsible for the lubrication of vagina during coitus. That is one. Now this gland is homologous to bulbourethral glands of male. Bulbourethral glands of male. That is homologous. In male it is called bulbourethral glands. In female it is called Bartholin's glands or major vestibular glands. The second gland associated with the female reproductive system is Skene's gland. Skene's gland. Now they are present on the anterior wall of vagina. Anterior wall of vagina and surrounds the lower end of what is called urethra. Anterior wall of vagina and surrounds what we have the lower end of urethra. These glands also concerned with the secretion of what is called a mucus fluid, concerned with the lubrication of vagina. This gland is homologous to the prostate gland of male. Homologous to the prostate gland of male, and this one is homologous to the bulbourethral glands of, that is, male. So that's about the 2 glands associated with the female reproductive system. Their main function is to concern with the secretion of mucus, a lubricating fluid for lubrication of vagina. The female reproductive structures that lie external to the vagina together constitute what we have the external genitalia, otherwise called as vulva. Now, what are the components? The structures external to vagina called as vulva. It has a depression. The name of the depression is called vestibule. It has 2 orifices or 2 openings. The upper opening is called urethral orifice. The lower opening is called vaginal orifice. These are the 2 openings. Now the 2 openings are guarded by 2 pairs of what we call skin folds, moist skin folds. The small fold of skin just present inside, they together form labia minora. The outer one just covering the whole vestibule, labia majora. They are larger fold of skin. Now just superior to the urethral orifice, there is an organ, what is called clitoris. It is comparable to the penis of male. It is homologous to what is called the penis of male. Then, hymen. In the case of, you see that one, individuals, female individuals, the external opening of vagina is normally partially closed by a ring of tissue. The ring of tissue which partially closes the vaginal aperture is called hymen. Normally, the hymen is torn or ruptured during the first contact, what is called the coitus, the intercourse or physical union. But in some women, the membrane exists. That is, actually, it is intact in nature. Now, normally this membrane is stretched or torn due to various physical forces. For example, sudden fall or jolt or strenuous physical exercises like cycling or just horseback riding. So, the presence or absence of hymen cannot be considered as an indicator of women's virginity. In some cases it is present, in some others it is absent. So the presence or absence of hymen cannot be considered as an indicator of women's virginity. In the past, they had actually the opinion that presence of hymen, the female is virgin, the absence of hymen, the female is not virgin. But actually now, the presence and absence of hymen is not an indicator of women's virginity. So that's about what with the structures external to the vagina together form the external genitalia. Okay, then we have to go for just other things. Along with female reproductive system, we have to study the mammary gland. The mammary gland is integrated with what we have the female reproductive structures for structural and functional activities. Just actually regulating the ovulation process, the fertilization process, and also we have the pregnancy, childbirth, childcare, all related to the various structures of female reproductive system along with mammary gland. So we have to go for the structural aspects of mammary gland. In female, the gland which is integrated with the female reproductive system is the mammary gland. Now this mammary gland is a modified sweat gland. It's a modified sweat gland. So in course of time during development, it is being formed from the sweat gland, a modified sweat gland. So it is present both male and females. But in the case of male, it is rudimentary and functional in the case of female. Now we have a pair of mammary glands or breast found actually in the thoracic region, lying in the thoracic region, just actually anteriorly. Now normally if you are taking that one, the gland is formed of two types of tissues internally. One is called glandular tissue. One is called glandular tissue concerned with the secretion of milk. This is number one. Another one, what is called the adipose tissue, nothing but the fatty tissue. Nothing but a fatty tissue. So formed of glandular tissue concerned with the secretion of milk, made up of what is called the epithelial cells, and the adipose tissue, that is a fatty tissue. Then with what we have a pigmented area. Normally we have a central nipple surrounded by a pigmented area, what is called normally areola. This is one. We also have some sebaceous glands present. The sebaceous glands normally present in the areolar region. They are also called as alveolar glands. Areolar glands. They are called areolar glands. So the areolar glands are nothing but the sebaceous glands present on the skin surface of the areola, and they reduces the cracking of the skin of the nipple, their function. So we have the total gland is a modified sweat gland, but we have some glands are present called the sebaceous glands, the oily glands, present on the surface of the areolar region, hence called what is known as areolar glands. Now they produce secretions and oily secretions, which reduces normally, that is a cracking of the nipple. That's one. Now internally, the mammary gland is divided into 2 to 25, that is what is called the mammary lobes. 2 to 25 mammary lobes. They are separated from one another by means of fat and a connective tissue. By means of fat and a connective tissue. And each mammary lobe is further divided into lobules, what are called mammary lobules. Now we have certain ducts are present. So the mammary lobules contain what we have alveoli or acini. So the mammary lobules contain alveoli or acini. Now small tubules arise from the alveoli or acini. These tubules are called mammary tubules. These tubules are called mammary tubules. Now the mammary tubules of each lobe join together to form what is known as a mammary duct. The mammary duct actually leads into a wider mammary ampulla. You see that one? The red colored one is the mammary tubules. They join together, the black colored one, what is called just the mammary ducts. the mammary ducts join together to form a wider mammary ampulla. The swollen region is called ampulla. Now the ampulla leads into a small duct, what is called lactiferous duct. The lactiferous duct normally expands to form what is called lactiferous sinus, that is in the nipple region or under the nipple. And normally each lactiferous duct opens separately on the nipple surface by means of minute pores. So that is about the arrangement. Now what is the arrangement in terms of that one? That is the hierarchy of arrangement of structures. If you are taking what's called the mammary gland is formed of what we have the lobes, 2 to 25 lobes. I am taking the diagrammatic way or an illustration. So we have the mammary glands, which is divided into what is called mammary lobes. Now which are normally divided into lobules, mammary lobules, which contain what we have alveoli or acini. So from the alveoli or acini we have mammary tubules, Now the mammary tubules of each lobe join together to form a mammary duct. So I am taking plural form, mammary ducts. Then we have each mammary duct enlarges to form mammary ampulla. Then the mammary ampulla leads to the nipple in the form of what is called the lactiferous duct. Which lead to the external side on the surface of the nipple. So they separately open on the surface of the nipple by means of small pilot pores. This is a hierarchy. Mammary gland is made up of mammary lobes are made up of mammary lobules, and each mammary lobule contains alveoli or acini, which is lined with the cuboidal epithelial cells. Which secrete what we have. Just actually they are prodded with the straight and myoepithelial cells, we can say, because they are having what is called muscle filaments in them, responsible for this actually pushing the milk into the duct. So alveoli are acini lined with the epithelial cells, myoepithelial cells, from which arise the mammary tubules. The mammary tubules join together to mammary ducts. The mammary ducts enlarge to form mammary ampulla, which is continued as the lactiferous ducts, and the lactiferous duct opens separately just on the surface of the nipple. Now in addition to these, what we have the lobes and lobules, we have a fatty tissue. The fatty tissue nothing but the adipose tissue. Now the development of the mammary gland starts during what is called the puberty and shows progressive changes during each menstrual cycle. It shows progressive changes. It progresses with the changes during menstrual cycle. So normally what is happening in the case of non-pregnant women, the glandular tissues is underdeveloped and it contains largely the fat. In the case of non-pregnant women, the glandular tissues are actually underdeveloped and it contains largely the adipose tissue or the fatty tissue. Now again, the size of the mammary gland has no influence in the efficiency of milk production or lactation. There is no relevance, there is no correspondence, there is no similarity, there is no what is called you can say comparison between the size of the mammary gland and the secretion of the milk. That's why I said, so the mammary gland, the size of the mammary glands normally does not have any influence in milk secretion or lactation. That's about the mammary glands associated with the female reproductive system. So whether I concluded about the female reproductive system along with the male, I already concluded. We have to proceed towards the gametogenesis.